One morning, Sunset received a letter, but when she opened and read it, she wasn't in for a big surprise. The letter was from her old friend, Eclipse Corona. Eclipse Corona was an old friend of Sunset from Canterlot. They literally grew up together and were neighbors for many years until Sunset had been chosen as to be Celestia's personal student. But she hadn't even seen her old friend in many, many years. Since she became Celestia's personal student, she focused most of her time in studying. She only spent some time with Eclipse Corona, sometimes in the weekends or sometimes during the particular holidays. But for most time, she was studying under the teaching of Celestia. And the last time she saw Eclipse Corona was just about 5 years ago. And now she was happy that being heard from her old friend. And in the letter, it was saying that Eclipse Corona was coming to Ponyville for a visit within a few days. And Sunset was so thrilled, but also a bit worried. If Eclipse had heard about Sunset's past, when she just suddenly disappeared. Since they were also at a time when, just before Sunset left Equestria for the other world, Eclipse Corona and her family had moved away from Canterlot, and they were at the time lived in Baltimore. That was also another few reasons why they hadn't even seen each other in such a long time. But there hasn't even been a single day that Sunset wasn't even thinking of her old childhood friend. But there was another reason. Sunset even had a huge crush on her old childhood friend. She was planning to telling Eclipse Corona about her true feelings, but that was way too late, because at the day when she was planning to telling her was the same day when Eclipse Corona revealed something to her. And that happened on one particular day, and Sunset remembered it clearly in her memory. Eclipse, I have something. It was nice to see you again. I'm sorry my study has been taking so much time. It's okay, Sunset. It's something wrong? Sunset asked. Well, I have something to tell you. What is it? My family are leaving Canterlot. What? Why? Well, you know my mom is working as a doctor. Yeah? Well, she has been offered a position in Baltimore as a doctor there, and it has a promotion. And, well, at first she was thinking of just going there herself and only come home once a while, but my dad said it would not be as much as a good, stable home. So my parents discussed that maybe it would be for the best that the whole family moved to Baltimore, rather than just be with just one of them to move there. Sunset felt devastated. Oh, when are you leaving? In a few days. I'm sorry, I just... You don't have to be saying much, Eclipse. I understand. And this is not like what would have happened to me, being chosen to be Celestia's student. I remember you when I went out to celebrate in this cafe in town. It was a big time. It was a big day. Yeah, We should spend more time together until you move. But you will always be coming back to see me, though, right? Yeah, of course. And any possible time I will do, especially in the holidays or summer break. I do have family still lives here, so especially my grandparents. So it's if it's possible, I could probably be, you know, ask my parents if I could spend time with my grandparents for the summer for maybe a couple of weeks, so we can spend time. Sansa smiled, but even though it was a kind of forced smile. And a couple of days later, Eclipse Corona and her family moved away to Baltimore. And that was the final day where they ever saw each other. Because ever since that was one of the few triggers to Sunset to be changing her personality. Back to her reality. Sunset was holding the letter when suddenly she heard a voice behind her. Oh, is a letter to you? Is it something important? It was Twilight. Oh, Twilight, it's a letter from my old friend Eclipse Corona. Eclipse Corona. I don't know if I never mentioned or met upon like that by the name. Oh, well, she's an old childhood friend of mine. We grew up together in Pullman, in Canterlot. Did she go to the same school as you and me? No, she was a Pegasus. Oh, right. Well, I'm glad that you actually have reached out to her again. Well, and then she explained that Eclipse Corona is actually coming to see her. But that's great, isn't it? Yeah, but it's just that I hadn't even seen her in years. Ever since she moved, she never even came back. And I thought maybe she had just forgot about me or abandoned me or something. Abandoned you? No way, Sunset. Things are not always going according to plans, Yeah. And ever since I never saw her much about her anymore, I decided to just focus on my time on, studying with Celestia, but things happened. I'll tell what led to. Twilight just nodded. Yeah, but don't give much thought about this. She will still remember you, and even if she knows about your past, don't you think that she would even otherwise have been reached out to you, want to see you? It had to be something or other reason. It might be true. So, in the next few days, Sunset was really nervous, but on the day when Eclipse Corona did arrive to Ponyville, she was happy. They met at the train station. They gave each other a big hug. After all, they hadn't even seen each other in years. Afterwards, they went to a small diner in town, just grab something to eat and start talking about childhood memories. But then the topic about why they never saw each other. Why happened that you didn't even came back to Canterlot? I thought you wanted to keep your promise. I tried my best, but my parents won't even let me go. And there was another reason also. Shortly after some time I moved, I think it was at least a couple of months afterwards, my grandpa died. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, after my grandpa died, my grandmother she felt lonely. I mean, since we were her only family that was still much alive, so she moved to Baltimore, and since I don't even had another family in Camelot, there was no reason for my parents to even just said, let me go. I mean, I could have stayed at your family's home, but they didn't probably wouldn't even let me go. At least not by myself. Yeah, understanding. But there is nothing I want to ask. Yeah? I heard about your mistake. The mistake that she was referring to was one where she was abandoning Celeste studying and ran off to this different world. How's it like in this other place? Oh, a lot different than you know. But eventually I met some individuals there to help me to return back to the redeemed side, redemption. I'm glad to hear that. They spent more time together, and even though Sunset felt happy to be able to spend time with her old friend, but then she even asked, how long are you going to stay in here? Oh, for about a week. Are you going back home soon again? Unfortunately, yeah. I have work there and there's a lot of. Do you have any special some pony back there? No? I haven't been dating any pony at all. Really? Never? Mm-mm. Never. There must be some particular reason. I mean, you're beautiful, you're kind, you're smart. There must be many stallions that were much into you. Or at least I would ask you out. Well, many has, but I always get the same answer. And which is, I'm only interested in something else. Wait, you are? Yeah, but the thing is, I never mentioned this to this particular pony about my true feelings. Wow, really? And how long have you been in love with him? Well, it's actually her. Eclipse Corona said a bit shy. Really? But then who? It's you, said she almost in a whisper. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. What did you say? It's you, Sunset. The day when we were last we saw each other, I wanted to tell you how I felt about you. But when I received the news that my family were leaving, moving to a whole different city, I couldn't bring myself to do it. But then Sunset started laughing. You know what the funny thing is? I was about to do the same thing. What? Yeah. I have been in love with you for such a long time. And the day when we were supposed to, when we met at the park in Canterlot, the last time we saw each other, I was about to do the same thing. But when you told me that your family are moving, I just couldn't do it. I mean, I saw how sad you were. And another thing is, I even didn't know if my family would even would have been okay with this long distance relationship. I mean, we were like what 10, 12 back then. I think about 12. Yeah, so that's like 10 years now. So they both started laughing and realized, despite being separated from each other for 10 years, they were still deep in love. Then suddenly, Sunset asked if Eclipse Corona wanted to be her girlfriend. And Eclipse Corona nodded and said yes with a smile that she really genuinely wanted to be with Sunset. And so they spent a whole week together. They went on many dates, dinner, picnics, and just in general, having a good time. But as their fun came and went, after a week passed, which felt like so fast for them, Eclipse Corona had to go back to Baltimore. Even despite that she didn't want to. But now at least they could see each other more often than they wanted. She even gave Sunset her home address in Baltimore if she wanted to come there go there to see her directly. And within the next couple of weeks afterwards, Sunset actually took a chance, took the train all the way to Baltimore. She even went to see her, and Sunset was happy to see Eclipse Corona. Eclipse Corona's family, her parents, they were now at the time at least aware of them being dating, and they were happy to see Sunset again, despite her bad mistake. But they could see that how genuine that she were of her remorse. There was something else that's going to happen for between Sunset and Eclipse Corona. Because throughout the next few months, they went to see each other as often as they could. Sometimes they'd stay with each other for about a week. But then, there was nearly at one point something could have broken off. Because after 6 months, Sunset went to see Eclipse Corona in Baltimore by surprise. She never mentioned this in a letter or anything. It was a big surprise visit. But when she saw Eclipse Corona with another mare, and they were just having a good time. They were laughing, hugging, and to another big surprise, there was actually even a young filly, a very much young as a baby, in a stroller. Then Sunset realized, or at least assumed, that this mare was in fact Eclipse Corona's real girlfriend, and they having a baby, or maybe it was her fiance or even wife. And she couldn't even believe it. She couldn't even understand. She felt hurt, rather from just confronting Eclipse Corona about this. She just hid behind a building and then just left. She went back home, but she never said anything to Twilight what happened, because she said that she just said some excuse that Eclipse Corona was too busy, that they couldn't even see each other, and Twilight bought it. But the day came when Eclipse Corona came to see Sunset. But Sunset saw her when she came to town, and she immediately teleported away from Ponyville. She had now mastered a long-distance teleportation spell. She was able to teleport at least up to 5 miles away from that location. But even if she was managed to teleport 5 miles, it drained some of her energy, but she was able to get away from there. She didn't want to face Eclipse Corona at all. She felt hurt, betrayed. She didn't want to see her again. And she stayed away from Ponyville up to a few days. But when she came back, at the time, Eclipse Corona had already left the day before. And even when Sunset came home, Twilight was really confused why she wasn't even in Ponyville. And where would she even been all this time when suddenly that Eclipse Corona came to see Sunset? At first, Sunset didn't want to be explaining anything to her, but being a pressure from Celestia also involved in this. At least in a letter when Twilight mentioned this. Even Sunset, when she received a letter from Celestia, she just wanted to telling her that it's best to complain to Twilight, because she was there to want to help. If it was something that happened, she just wanted to help. After all, she is a princess of friendship. But at first, Sunset didn't even know in fact if she even wanted any help. Sunset, you need to tell me what happened. Why didn't you even want to see your own girlfriend? But Sunset didn't even say a word. Sunset, if you don't tell me, maybe I have to ask her. No, she doesn't even know anything about this. Tell me. Please. I'm your friend. Fine. And then Sunset explained. And after she was finished, Twilight just sat there, puzzled. Did you even talk to her? No. Sunset Shimmer. Why would you have been such idiot? What do you mean? Have you ever thought of maybe that mare that the Eclipse Corona wore with may not even be connected to her in a romantic way? Maybe that was someone she knew, a friend. I mean, after all, you told me that she moved to Baltimore with her family 10 years ago, right? Yeah. And since you haven't seen her in 10 years, right? Yeah. So why did it not be assumed maybe that was one of her new friends that she made in Baltimore, and that friend who may happen to also be married, and that might be her child, and not even Eclipse Corona's? Sunset realized her big, idiotic mistake. So she decided to take the train to Baltimore to see her. And even when she arrived at Baltimore, she arrived at the Eclipse Corona's home, and she wasn't even angry or anything. She was just really confused why Sunset was even in Ponyville when she was there. And when they talked, Eclipse Corona laughed. Because it turns out Twilight was really right. The mare that Sunset saw was just a friend to Eclipse, and that her friend was also married to a stallion, and they were just spending time together as old friends. And it happened to be that her friend had her baby with her that day. I'm such a stupid idiot. Sunset, you don't have to assume things like that right away. I thought you were smart enough. I'm so sorry. Were you jealous or something? Well, a bit, yeah. Do you think I would even go so far? I mean, we finally once again saw each other after 10 years, and we finally start dating, and you really think I would go so low to cheat on you? No. Exactly my point, Sunset. You always probably assume the things beforehand, or before like that. Don't make any assumption. Sunset nodded the promise that she wouldn't. And for what the time that they were together, Sunset really looked into things before thinking, or at least before we make any assumption of something like that. In fact, Sunset was even introduced to Eclipse Corona's friend with her baby. And her friend laughed because when she heard that Sunset assumed that her friend and Eclipse were dating or perhaps even married, because why would suddenly, if Eclipse were married or even engaged or dating someone else, why would she just simply just going so far, confess her true feelings with someone else, and having another partner by their side, and even have a family? That made Sunset even more feeling more stupid. But she was happy. And throughout the next 2 years, Sunset and Eclipse's relationship grew stronger and stronger. And after being together for 2 years, Sunset proposed to Eclipse, and she said yes. They decided to just have a small wedding ceremony based on some close friends and a family. Twilight records were Sunset's maid of honor, and Eclipse's old friend was her maid of honor. They decided to spend their honeymoon in Crystal Empire for about a week. There were a lot of mysterious things between that happened. And after being married for about 2 years, Sunset and Eclipse Corona wanted to have a family of their own. So they asked Twilight for help, and she was more than willing to help them. So Twilight traveled all the way to Baltimore, which where now Sunset were living with her new wife. And Sunset chose to be pregnant, and she eventually had a daughter which they named Solar Orbit. Solar Orbit was really a beautiful filly, and both Eclipse Corona and Sunset could have been more happier. Especially for Sunset. After being separated from her old friend for part of a decade, she never assumed or even thought that she would even be reunited with her old friend again. But it did happen. After 10 years, they were once again reunited. And as a big surprise, that they both still have feelings for each other. After they both confessed, they were just happy they like each other. And even after Sunset's belief of what Sunset at least assumed that Eclipse had a secret partner, could have been jeopardizing the whole relationship. Since that day, Sunset made a vow to never repeat the same mistake again. And she hasn't. Because now she is dedicated not only to Eclipse Corona, but to their daughter Solar Orbit, with so much love and passion. And this is how Eclipse Corona and Sunset Shimmer from their true love got a big family together. The end.